But having said all of that, fair is fair. Fair is fair to independents out there. Fair is fair to conservatives and Republicans out there. There's certain things that we have to hold both sides to. Now, Joe Biden stepped aside as the presumptive Democratic nominee on July 21st. Okay? Now I'm going to look at this right now. I'm looking at my calendar because I just want to make sure. July 21st was a Sunday. We've had 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 1 day since Joe Biden stepped aside. The only damn place we've seen Kamala Harris is at pep rallies. What's up? Somebody got to say something. And it can't just be the conservatives. Right is right. I'm talking to my sister here. Come on now. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. You got my vote. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? And I mean hiding in plain sight. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Now, you can't be running for the presidency of the United States. Not one single press conference, not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask. That's not fair. That's not fair. And if you're a conservative and you out there lambasting her for it, ridiculing her for it, trying to torment her for it or whatever, it is perfectly within your right to do so. All of you anti-conservatives out there, shut the hell up. That's a valid point. It ain't valid to bring up a blackness or an Indian heritage and to try to point to things of that nature. That's nonsense. But to ask her about her record, because she is attached to the Biden record, is definitely apropos, especially when you were bragging about the record.
This one, I'm just so confused. I'm so confused. Like, how on one hand, like, he makes perfect sense. Like, why are you hiding, Kamala? Why are you hiding? You got to answer these questions about your record. Make no mistake about it. This is your record. What we are in right now, the crisis that we are in right now, this is your record, Kamala. We need answers. But then on the other hand, he says, you got my vote. It's just like, what the fuck? Oh, my goodness. My goodness. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Because, like, I want to applaud Stephen A. Because he's making a lot of sense when he talks about, hey, stop hiding. You need to answer for your record that we're in right now. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. In all honesty, I do think it is probably because of him not wanting to lose his job. I think that is a major part in him saying this stuff. If we were to go into the booth with Stephen A., I'd be willing to say that there's probably a 75% chance that he actually votes Republican and not Democrat. This is just him wanting to keep his job. Because we've all heard the stories, and we'll get back into this video, because we've all heard the stories. For example, here's a recent example. Adin Ross. Trump did the live stream with Adin Ross. Adin Ross talked about how there's a lot of celebrities that hit him up after the live stream with Trump and told him that he was brave. Told him that they loved what he did. But they would never come out and support Donald Trump publicly. And I think it's the same kind of situation that you have here with Stephen A., which is a shame. And once Trump wins in November, I hope that changes, because this has just gotten absolutely ridiculous. Anybody and everybody should be able to say who they support out loud without fear of ramifications at their job, without fear of getting in trouble at their occupation. That should not be a thing. But unfortunately, we've seen that it is. But let's jump back in.
We talked about Biden being a transformative president. Well, stand on it then. Stand on it. Where you at? No George Stephanopoulos, no Meet the Press, no State of the Union. What's up? No Face the Nation, no Politico, no MSNBC. I understand why you wouldn't do Fox. Liberals don't really do Fox, just like conservatives don't really do MSNBC. You're welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show. I will gladly interview Donald Trump. I will gladly interview Kamala Harris. Name the time or place. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. I'll show up. Anytime. And I'm no political aficionado. I'm going to need fact checkers. I don't know everything that y'all going to say. But I know this much. I know how to ask the questions that Americans want to know. Kamala Harris, there are certain things that we have to ask you a question about. There's simply no way of getting around certain things. Weren't you against fracking? Is that true? And now you're for it? Just asking. These are important questions to think about. You're going to intensify and elevate the importance of securing our borders. Were you always that way? These are legitimate questions. You no longer support a national ban on fracking. Also, you no longer support the elimination of private health insurance. Is it true that one time you supported those things? When did your mind change? How long ago was that? When were you going to tell the American people? Why'd you keep it from everybody? And yes, it is a legitimate question. How much did you know about Joe Biden and the slippage, the cognitive decline that so many people have alluded to on both sides of the aisle now? Did you ever feel compelled to tell anybody? I know you didn't want to come out and dime them out publicly, but privately, were you working behind the scenes? Did you tell folks about this? Did you talk to Joe Biden himself about that? These are legitimate questions for a presidential candidate. And the reason why I think it's important, ladies and gentlemen, to bring this issue up. I support Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. But fair is fair. Why is it more important than ever before? I could bring up Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2016. And I understand that James Comey came about and basically got in the way of everything with the whole deleted email scandal just a couple of weeks before Election Day. But isn't it true that you thought you had the election in the bag and didn't necessarily campaign in places like Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, swing states like that, prior to the election, while Donald Trump did campaign in those elections in 2016? Is it not true that just in this cycle, that there wasn't really a primary for the Democrats? Because the way was paved for President Joe Biden. This is not about Kamala Harris. This is about the Democratic Party. How dare you? How dare you? If the man is ready and qualified to run for the presidency of the United States of America, why are you getting in the way of competition? Let the American people decide. I don't give a damn if it's Dean Phillips or somebody else. Let us decide. We're the voters. Let us decide. That's all I'm saying. I'm talking to the Democrats and the Republicans. You see, when you want to sit up there and you want to crucify Donald Trump, I'm down for that. I don't like a lot of stuff about Donald Trump. I can't deny, however, the man does a whole bunch of interviews. Getting ready to get interviewed by Elon Musk. Showed up to the National Association of Black Journalists. Knew that wasn't going to be a pleasant experience. You saw him. You didn't even say hello. How are you? We saw that. But he was there. I saw Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley. I saw people trying to knock him off in the primaries. The Republican conservative folks in this country spoke. We want Donald Trump, they said. Okay. 2 impeachments, $454 million civil case, 34 felony convictions. They said, we don't give a damn. He's our guy. Did we really get to make that choice about Joe Biden? We didn't. Because there was no primary. Perhaps if there was competition, perhaps if he had to compete for the position, and we heard other voices emanating from the Democratic side, from the left side, from the progressive side, we would have felt better. But the road was paved for Joe Biden to cakewalk to the Democratic convention to be the official Democratic nominee until he showed up for a debate on June 27th. And all hell broke loose thereafter. Had it not been for that, all we would have been doing was talking. But he still would have showed up in Chicago a week from now for the Democratic National Convention and pushed in as the Democratic nominee. Wait a minute. If that's the case, what's right about that? Now, you Kamala Harris, let me say this.
Oh my goodness. Like that made so much sense what he was saying right there. So much sense. Like he admitted that the DNC is corrupt. That Democrat politicians are corrupt. They paved the way. They got rid of the Democrat competition and gave Joe Biden a free ride to the nomination. And then ramrodded him out of the, ran a coup against him to get him out of there. But then on out the other side of his mouth, he says, Kamala, you got my vote, no questions asked. I ain't get to pick you, but you got my vote anyway. Like, what? Huh? Bro, you made so much sense. He called out Kamala. Hey, did you know how bad Joe Biden was? Which, of course, she did. She's literally the number 2 in line for the presidency. So she did know. And if she didn't, well, then she's definitely, most definitely not fit for the job. Like, you're the number 2 and you don't know how good, how well your running mate is? Like, you're that disconnected? So she knew, okay? He called her out on her record with the economy. Like, this is her record. Joe ain't running the show. We know that. Like, he was just calling her out left, right, and center, and then called out the Democrat Party as a whole. Oh, my goodness. That was completely on point. But then he says, well, I'm voting for Kamala. And I explain why I think he's saying that. Because for me, like, you can't say all of that and then say, I'm voting for Kamala. Like, that literally doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't at all whatsoever. That makes zero sense at all. You literally just said that the Democrat Party is corrupt, but you're voting for them. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, you literally just said her record is absolutely trash and that she is the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now in this country, but you're still voting for her, you know? So that's why I say I personally believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I personally believe he ain't voting Democrat. He's voting Republican. But I want to show you this guy's comment section, as always, because I love pulling up the comment section. And this is one of the reasons why I don't believe the hype about Kamala, right? It's not simply, because I know people are going to say, well, Rich, you believe the polls when they were against Joe Biden and Trump had a big lead. Yeah, because the evidence behind it said the exact same thing. I don't simply just believe the polls. I mean, look at 2016. How well did that work? Hillary Clinton was up, I believe it was like an average of like 7.2. How well did that one work out? She ended up winning the popular vote by, I want to say it was 2%. Same thing with the polls in 2020, right? Joe Biden was up like 7 points. And now I know, we can turn this discussion into, some shenanigans that went on and whatnot. But you went from 7-point lead to barely winning by 40,000 votes over 3 states, allegedly, of course. So, yeah, I don't simply just watch polls. I mean, yes, I look at polls, but I also look at everything surrounding it. I read comment sections. I go on social media when anything big political happens, and I read through there. I look at street interviews, see what the people are saying, right? I don't just look at polls. And when you look at a guy's comment section like this, not one mention of her policy, and she has your vote, coward. Stephen A. wants to be a conservative so bad, but just won't allow himself to. All those questions you ask, she's just going to say, what's become undone will be done to undone. Bro, I'm having a hard time just reading that because it's just gibberish, but that's how she talks. He ain't lying. Stephen A., you can't complain about her. You already said that you was voting for her. As a registered independent and a person of color, I used to split the vote between Democrat and Republican, but I can no longer vote Democrat. And we don't know one single policy of hers. People are completely brainwashed. This is insane. I feel like I'm living in a different universe. How could all these grown black men still vote for the Democrat Party? The fact that he said she's got his vote and then proceeded to go on a rant about how he doesn't know any of her policies is laughable. Why does she have your vote? And she hasn't told you about any policies. Trump 24. His entire comment section is filled with people calling him out on his hypocrisy and be like Trump supporters. And I'm supposed to believe Kamala's about to win? Now, listen, that doesn't mean sit back on your hands. Because if we do, these fake polls that are out now will become reality. That's what they want. We're up against a massive machine that is obviously has revved up to maximum capacity. We've seen it. I mean, from the paying people for your support, and I posted some YouTube shorts on that, where content creators have come out and simply like stated, hey, the DNC, not the DNC directly, but some organizations got in contact with me to pay me for posts that would be kind towards Kamala and Tim Walz. And some people have even posted the emails from those folks. And like I said, I posted those in some YouTube shorts. So if you don't watch my YouTube shorts, definitely check those out. From that to something else that's going on right. Kamala's buying ads on Google and trying to make it look as if it's a legitimate top of the search, when in actuality it isn't. And I'm going to post a YouTube short on that, right? Faking the crowd size. I posted a YouTube short about that, and I put it in a video. To when I posted a video clip of one of her rallies where people were literally leaving minutes into her speech. And allegedly, the story is people are getting paid to show up at the rallies. Paid. You go from that to the mainstream media, right? Went from saying that she is the most unpopular vice president and dragging down the Biden-Harris ticket, and maybe Joe Biden should drop the Harris part of the ticket, to she's the best thing since sliced bread. Like, they are trying their hardest. Do not be discouraged. Be encouraged. Let this motivate you to go even harder. Okay? Get in contact with Scott Pressler if you want to get involved. I'm sure there's other folks as well. Charlie Kirk with TPUSA. Make sure you're working at a polling location. That's also important. Get a job at a polling location. Work there. Be on the inside. Don't be on the outside banging on the door. Oh, let us see. Let us get in. Let us get in. And then you cry when Kamala wins. Like, that's just logically, that just doesn't make sense. Like, we saw what happened before, but I'm not going to go work in there. Yeah, I'm just going to stand on the outside. Work in the polling locations. Get a job in the polling locations. Make friends with people that work in the polling places. Make them think that you're good friends with them, so they trust you. Maybe you'll figure out something that way, right? Maybe they'll trust you enough to slip up and say, yeah, we're doing this and that and that. Oh. No, that ain't happening. See, you messed up. You done told me that you about to flip this and that and Stop this now. Police. You know? I'm just saying, like, there's way too many ways to ensure that Trump wins. This is so much, right? That was just right off the top of the head, in the spur of the moment, ideas and things that we can do, legally do, to make sure that there's no shenanigans happening. So when it comes to November 5th, I don't want to hear nobody crying, nobody complaining. If you ain't do nothing, if you sat on your hands, we know it needs to be done. We got to get out and do our part. We got to work in polling locations. We got to get involved with organizations like Scott Presler's. All right. Register people to vote. Share videos like myself and others. We got to have tough conversations with friends and family. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. I do believe that we will get it done. But we got to put in the work. We got to put in the work. But as always, y'all let me know your thoughts, your opinions on all of this. Peace and love. I'm out.